So when I look at the story of Twitter and X and Elon buying it and everything that's been going on in the past year, basically, the most obvious thing and red thread that goes through everything for me personally is that the dude needs money, okay? Not Elon personally, but Twitter is not profitable, and Elon really wants to make it profitable. I mean, he bought it for like a ridiculous amount of money, and he doesn't want to make it into like a failure. And I know he keeps propagating it's all in the name of freedom of speech, and we just try to combat the bots and all that. And that's why we now start charging everyone like $1 a year, or new users $1 a year, just so they can post. There's Twitter Premium, X Blue, whatever he calls it these days. So he starts charging people left and right for the platform, which is a clear indicator of his desperation to make money for the platform. But obviously the biggest chunk of revenue for a platform like Twitter comes from ad revenue, okay? And just in the last few days, a lot of big ad partners of Twitter have jumped the boat, saying that they're going to at least pause advertising on Twitter for now. The companies include Apple, Comcast, Disney, IBM, Lionsgate, Paramount, Warner Brothers, NBC Universal, and the European Commission. That is the list at the moment. It might be growing. Now, you might wonder, why would all these big ad partners leave Twitter so rapidly, right? Like all of them making that decision in a few days. Why would... Now, it all comes back. I mean, it does come back to the bigger picture of how Elon is running the platform and how he allows anti-Semitism and anti-trans hate and all that in the name of freedom of speech. It's all fine for him. But obviously, then he has to live with the consequences that a lot of ad partners say, no, we don't want to be associated with a platform like this. But this specific decision seems to stem from one specific tweet that Elon sent a few days. Let me share it with you. So it all started with Charles Weber sending this tweet saying, to the cowards hiding behind the anonymity of the internet and posting, was right. You got something you want to say it to their faces, okay? Posting a video of like a father driving up to like a synagogue, I believe, with his son, because his son posted stuff like this on the internet and shared similar comments. And he's like, all right, why don't you say it to the Jewish people to their faces? Get out of the car and tell them. It's like an awkward moment, and it's supposed to be like an awareness video of kinds, right? Spreading awareness against the hate. Now, then the artist formerly known as Eric replies. I mean, check the guy out. And he says, okay, Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them. I'm sorry, at this point, whenever I read this poor white man, we are so underprivileged and discriminated against narrative anywhere, it just makes me, my brain instantly melts, because we've reached a level where that narrative is so done, it's like debunked and explained a million times. If you are still stupid enough to fall for this, bro, then you're a meme. It's just a joke. You're a parody of someone that existed 10 years ago, and believe this kind of garbage. But anyway, he continues and says, I'm deeply disinterested in giving the tiniest S about how the Western Jewish population coming to the disturbing realization that those hordes of minorities that support flooding their countries don't exactly like them too much. You want the truth said to your face? There it is. There it is, the truth. I said the truth, okay? I'm just saying the truth. This is truth social. No, it's not truth social, actually. It's X. It's kind of interchangeable at this point, almost. But I'm just here to say the truth. Okay, it's freedom of speech. And then Elon replied to this tweet saying, you have said the actual truth. You've said the actual truth. And then he was probably like, oh, wait a second. This is maybe a little bit controversial what I'm saying here. I might come across as an anti-Semitic a-hole. So let me elaborate on it and reply to my own tweet. So he then... it didn't help. It didn't make it better. He replied with this one. The ADL, so the Anti-Defamation League, unjustly attacks the majority of the West, despite the majority of the West supporting the Jewish people and Israel. This is because they cannot, by their own tenets, criticize the minority groups that are their primary threat. It is not right, and it needs to stop. Okay, freedom of speech, bro. Obviously, this kicked off a whole series of articles, right? The Wall Street Journal titles, Elon Musk says anti-Semitic social media post was the actual truth. CNN Business says with anti-Semitic tweet, Elon Musk reveals his actual truth. That's a fair point. And they're breaking it down nicely down here, right? They're like, why it matters? Why is it important? Because a lot of people, there's another thing, like people read these tweets and they're like, so what's wrong with that? What's the problem with that? That's not anti-Semitic. It's like, okay. All right, sit down in your little preschool chair and we're going to explain it to you, okay? CNN Business explains to you why it matters. The anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, which posits that Jews want to bring undocumented minority populations into Western countries to reduce white majorities in those nations, is often espoused by hate groups. It's the same conspiracy echoed in the final written words of Robert Bowers, convicted murderer of 11 people at the Tree of Life synagogue in Pittsburgh. His last social media post said that a Jewish non-profit dedicated to aiding refugees likes to bring invaders that kill our people. Okay, so again, it's like this ridiculous narrative that like some kind of Jewish shadow organization brings in uncontrolled numbers of immigrants to intentionally destroy Western society, right? It's all following a bigger plan. We're intentionally destroying the West here. Like, it's insane. Like, if you have any sense in your mind and you just think through a plan like this, it is impossible and not real on so many levels, on so many obvious levels, not even speaking about like the many 15 different political layers that something like this would involve. It makes no sense. From the start, it makes no sense. But here's Elon peddling these kinds of narratives to his whatever million followers. Musk, in subsequent posts, expounded on his views. Like I said, he's like, oh, maybe I should elaborate on that a bit. He wrote that he does not believe hatred of white people extends to all Jewish communities. But then he singled out the Anti-Defamation League, as we read, claiming that it promotes racism against white people. X did not respond to requests for comment. In response, the ADL CEO Jonathan Greeblatt wrote that it is indisputably dangerous to use one's influence to validate and promote anti-Semitic theories. So obviously, this is the view that a healthy mind has on this. If you read these tweets and his reply is like, yeah, this is not right. So that is why all these advertisers, like I said, Apple, Comcast, Disney, IBM, Lionsgate, many more, I listed them in the beginning, are currently jumping off. And I'm convinced it's not the end of it. More of them will leave Twitter because you don't want to be associated with this anti-Semitic nonsense. But for Elon, in Elon's head, you gotta understand this, it's just freedom of speech. Okay, it is the lefties suppressing his opinion. Because the truth is, the version that Elon promotes of freedom of speech on Twitter is the version that he likes. Okay, so I don't know if you saw this, like a few weeks ago, he tweeted that cis is now officially a swear word. It's a slur. It's considered a slur now on Twitter, and if you use it, you might get some consequences. But then you get posts like this. So this person did a little test, and he or she tweeted, I hate cis people and I hate trans people. Hate trans people just stands as it is. Nothing happens. That's fine. When it says I hate cis people, the visibility is limited. This post may violate X's rules against hateful conduct. Okay, you call someone a cis person? Bro, it's hateful conduct. And what I find so funny about this is like clearly it is not about the term cis. It is about Elon's feelings being hurt because he may have to respect a person having a different gender than they were born with, right? And he just can't live with it. He is so offended and angered by this existing that he's now like a 4-year-old child turning around saying, yeah, well, the word that everyone uses is also a slur now. If you want to play this game, it is literally preschooler behavior. It is unbelievable. And obviously Elon can't let that slip. He has to fight back now. He has to go back to these horrible advertisers and these left-leaning ad controlling. Because it's not about antisemitism. He's not an anti-Semite in his head. It's just they're being rude to him. They just can't understand how freedom of speech works. That's in Elon's head, okay? So he tweets the following. Many of our largest advertisers are the greatest oppressors of your right of free speech. This is great. Imagine you're a big advertiser on X and you read this. You're like, what? What are you saying? I should not advertise on X, right? Because I'm an oppressor of what are you saying here? He's just pissing on the leg of all his advertisers, of the people that actually flush money. The little money that he makes, he pisses on their leg. I find this absolutely amazing. So I think it's pretty clear of what Elon's idea of freedom of speech is, okay? But now his fifis were so hurt that he's going even further. And this is the current culmination of this story. It's incredible. Matt Binder tweets, Elon Musk is so mad about all the advertisers fleeing X, he announced he's going to sue Media Matters. And in his statement, he appears to confirm the accuracy of their reports in an attempt to downplay it. Good luck with that lawsuit. And indeed, he gives on a tweet as well, a full breakdown of his letter that he probably plans to base his lawsuit on. And it's incredible. It is incredible. In the context of everything we just spoke about, this week Media Matters for America posted a story that completely misrepresented the real user experience on X, which is probably that they say there's a noticeable increase in anti-Semitic and racist and anti-trans activities. Like, this is not right. This is not the actual experience on X, not the one I have. In another attempt to undermine freedom of speech and mislead advertisers. I just can't get over this. I can't get over it. Here's this guy who spews this racist anti-Semitic nonsense. Obviously, the whole world turns around and says, dude, this is anti-Semitic nonsense. And he's like, no, it's Media Matters. Their decisions push away and mislead my advertisers. He's like, bro, at what point do you just need a year in some kind of facility to ground yourself a bit again. And that's because all this doesn't make any sense. Above everything, including profit, X works to protect the public's right to freedom of speech or to free speech. But for free speech to be truly free, we must also have the freedom to see or hear things that some people may consider objectionable. We believe that everyone has a right to make their own mind up about what to read, watch, or listen to, because that's the power of freedom of speech, even if what they read and what we push peddling is nonsense based on lies and just not true. And ultimately leads to people shooting up synagogues to an extent. So, freedom of speech, bro. Then he goes into the media matters research and their facts, saying how it's all wrong. And then he's giving a little summary in the end, which is great as well. X will protect the public's right to free expression. We will not allow agenda-driven activists or even our own profits to deter our vision. But cis, you can't say cis on this platform. Okay, we don't pushing any agenda here. But cis, very, very bad. Anti-Semitism, totally justified. Okay, we really have to openly speak about anti-Semitism and consider whether it's actually like a valuable route forward. But not even our profits can stop us from holding back agenda-driven opinions and information peddling on X. Okay, it's like, I just reading it, you can just see like 5 guys wanking off Elon while he's also wanking off himself, and everyone's just wanking off each other while the truth is standing in the corner and nobody's looking at it. Nobody cares about it. Everyone has a choice on X. User and brand control on X are superior to a year ago. I love this too. It's like, what does it mean, superior? Again, we're talking about agendas here. Superior in your point of view, it's superior to allowing anti-Semitism and trans hate. Like, if that's your definition of superiority, then yes, then it is superior to where it was before. But again, it's such a non-statement. You know, it says nothing. It's superior. What does that mean? It has no meaning. So I don't know who wrote this. Is Elon actually writing this himself? Because it feels literally like a 12-year-old wrote this for a school project. Data wins over allegations. Media Matters does not reflect the user experience on X. So his narrative really is that Media Matters intentionally, again, it's a big conspiracy. Everyone's against Elon, conspiring behind closed doors to shut him and his platform down. And they intentionally put out false information about X only to stop him getting advertisers and to ruin his business. It's all a big plan against Elon. Dude, the dude has lost his mind, in my opinion. Okay, he's gone. He's gone. I don't know if it's the stress of running this company or whatever's going on in his life. I mean, just from the outside seems like there's a lot going on. But what I really hope is that we will study Elon's radicalization of himself to an extent almost on Twitter in the last 4 or 5 years. Because it's a remarkable piece that is super well documented of how a person comes from very left-leaning, very eco-friendly, very sustainable ideas, you know, reusing rockets with SpaceX, pushing electric vehicles into the mainstream market, thinking about new forms of transportation, you know, trying to get us to the Mars, and having all these visions, like the Iron Man visions, right? There's this positive billionaire that wants to have a positive impact on humanity, it seems like, at least from the outside, to this anti-Semitism peddling moron, I'm sorry, it's my opinion, like clown, who's basically lost all credibility. There's just nothing left of it at this point. For me, and I think for many, many people. I mean, you even see stickers on the back of Teslas now where people are like, I bought this car before he turned into a moron. So there's a big, big lesson to be learned here, looking at Elon and this transformation of him turning into this radicalized version of himself, because that is happening on a large scale. This is happening on a large scale. Elon doesn't notice it. Your friends who talk nonsense like that don't notice it. They do not realize that they are being radicalized and that they are part of this huge propaganda machine that is running. And Elon shows that no one's immune of it. Even you're very rich, very well connected, very powerful, you can still fall for it. Okay? It doesn't stop in front of intelligence. It doesn't stop in front of wealth. It can hit anyone. Okay? So that's the lesson we're learning here. But let's go and protect free speech, guys. That's it. That's the story. That's the update on Elon. I mean, dude, this lawsuit is not going to go anywhere. He can try to sue them, but it is like black on white documented on his own platform. And you just need to ask all these advertisers and say, why are you leaving? You know, if it would really come to a lawsuit. And I'm sure they would say, you know, here are 50 tweets that we just, as examples, you found out they're all anti-trans, anti-Semitic, and they're not moderated at all. That's why we're leaving. So the idea to blame it on like the Media Matters organization it's as bizarre as the whole thing in itself, right? Anyway, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the little breakdown. I wanted to do this as part of yesterday's live stream, but then I got too drunk during the live stream and I couldn't get my mind to it because you see it needs a little bit of organization in your head, which I didn't have yesterday. But thanks everyone for joining yesterday's live stream. Also, I'm giving away a PS5. If you made it to the end of this video, please check the link in the description, okay, until we're hitting 20,000 subscribers on the channel. I will collect names on our Discord, and if you want a PS5, check the video in the description. It explains exactly how you can take part, and I hope you win it, crossing my fingers. Smash the like button on your way out, subscribe to the channel for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves. I'm out. Bye.